In February of 1959, in the desolate Ural Mountains of Soviet Russia, 9 experienced hikers embarked on what should have been a routine expedition. They never returned. When search parties finally reached their last known campsite, what they discovered launched one of the most chilling and enduring true crime conspiracies of the 20th century. The tent cut open from the inside. Bodies found kilometers away, some shoeless, others with bizarre, horrific injuries, crushed ribs, fractured skulls, one victim even missing her tongue. For decades, the world has debated what really happened in the Dyatlov Pass incident. Was it a secret military weapon? A terrifying Yeti? Or something even more alien? The theories ran wild, fueled by the sheer impossibility of the evidence. You may have seen the horror movie, which leaned into the most outlandish claims. But today, History Speaks Revisited brings you a new perspective. Because the real story behind the Dyatlov Pass incident and its impossible car crash injuries was finally solved by the unlikeliest of sources, the animators behind Disney's Frozen and 1970s General Motors crash test dummies. Our story begins with Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student, leading 8 fellow adventurers on a challenging trek to Otorten Mountain. These were seasoned professionals, students, engineers, even a former World War II veteran. This wasn't a group of amateurs. They knew the dangers of the Russian wilderness. Their final destination was a slope locals called Kholat Syakhl, Dead Mountain. On the evening of February 1st, they pitched their tent on the mountain's exposed flank. To create a level sleeping platform, they did what any experienced hiker would do. They cut into the snow. It was a common, sensible practice. The temperature outside was brutal, nearing minus 25 degrees Celsius. Inside their tent, huddled against the cold, they settled in for the night. They never woke up. When the rescue team finally located their campsite weeks later, the scene defied belief. The tent, buried in snow, was partially collapsed, but, crucially, it had been sliced open from the inside. Most of their gear, their boots, even their warm coats, were still inside. The footprints leading away from the tent, bare or in socks, suggested a panicked, desperate flight into the sub-zero night. 2 bodies were found first, huddled by the remains of a fire, dressed only in their underwear, their hands scraped. 3 more were found between the fire and the tent, seemingly trying to crawl back to safety, but succumbing to hypothermia. These 5, while tragic, seemed understandable, until the final 4 were discovered months later, buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine. These were the bodies that fueled the conspiracy. One victim had a fractured skull. Another had crushed ribs. A third, Lyudmila Dubinina, was missing her tongue and eyes. The medical examiner famously stated the force required to inflict such injuries was equal to a car crash. Yet, there were no external wounds, no signs of a struggle with an attacker. And to deepen the mystery, trace amounts of radiation were found on some of their clothes. What monster, what weapon, could possibly leave such an impossible trail? For decades, the real story behind the Dyatlov Pass incident was lost in a fog of speculation. Theories ranged from enraged Yetis and extraterrestrial encounters to secret Soviet military tests gone wrong. The 2013 horror movie, Devil's Pass, or the Dyatlov Pass incident, as it's also known, even brought some of these outlandish theories to a new generation, adding its own terrifying, fictional explanations. But for 60 years, one of the most obvious explanations, an avalanche, was largely dismissed. The slope wasn't steep enough, experts argued. And if an avalanche did happen, why the 9-hour delay? Why cut the tent from the inside? It seemed to defy every rule of snow and mountains. That all changed in 2021 when a groundbreaking scientific study by Johan Gom, a snow scientist, and Alexander Puzrin, a geotechnical engineer, finally revisited the evidence. And their solution? It came from the unlikeliest of places. Gom, captivated by the realism of the snow in Disney's Frozen, actually worked with the movie's animators. He then adapted their snow animation code and combined it with data from 1970s General Motors car crash tests on cadavers to run simulations. Their model revealed the truth. The hikers themselves, by cutting into the slope, had created an unstable slab of snow just above their tent. Then a rare weather phenomenon, katabatic winds, started. These gravity-driven winds slowly, relentlessly, dumped fresh snow onto that slab for hours. Not seconds, but hours. For 9 to 13 hours, that slab crept, building immense pressure until finally, in the dead of night, it collapsed onto the tent. The impact was immense. A 16-foot block of dense snow, weighing several tons, hitting the tent like a slow-motion SUV, crushing the sleeping hikers inside. This perfectly explained the car crash-level injuries, fractured ribs and skulls, all without external wounds. They weren't attacked, they were crushed by nature. And the tent cut from the inside? Not a monster, but pure, instinctual panic. Their friends were dying, and they feared a second, larger avalanche was imminent. They had to get out now. And the other bizarre details that fueled the conspiracy? The missing tongue and eyes from Lyudmila Dubinina? The hikers in the ravine were exposed to running meltwater for months. This led to natural decomposition and scavenging by small animals. The radiation on the clothes? A secret, but known, nuclear accident called the KYSH-2M disaster had already contaminated the region years prior. The hikers simply picked up background radiation, which was common. And the naked bodies? A tragic, but documented, phenomenon of severe hypothermia called paradoxical undressing, where freezing individuals strip off their clothes due to disorientation and a sensation of burning heat. The Dyatlov Pass incident remains a chilling true crime story. But thanks to cutting-edge science, aided by unexpected sources like a Disney movie, the conspiracy has been unraveled. The real monster wasn't a yeti or a secret agent, but a rare and terrifying act of nature. And the mystery that puzzled the world for over 60 years? It's finally been solved, for History Speaks Revisited. What turning point or mystery in history should we explore next? Tell us your ideas in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this revisit into the past, be sure to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss our next investigation.